guys, how's it going? We are back with another edition of the Detroit Sports Bettors YouTube series. We are now in week 10 of the NFL season. And as many of you already know, week 9 was bounce back week for all of us because in NFL week 8, we had our first negative week of the year, finishing 1-4. Absolutely brutal. Those weeks suck, but if you've been sports gambling for some time, you know they happen. More importantly, week 9, we bounced back. We ended up going 4-1, and the only pick that we lost was that Cincinnati Bengals -2.5. But again, all in all, great bounce back. It always feels good to get back in the green. And we are now 30-12 overall on the year, hitting at a 71% rate. And if you guys hit on any of those plays throughout the year, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that comment. Tell me what you're picking this week down below. Tell me what you won on last week. Help me to get this video out there because, again, we are hitting at a 71% rate on the year. Would love to see these videos get around 1,000 views, trying to get it up there. So please help me out because I do put a lot of time and research into these videos. If this is the only spot that you have seen Detroit Sports Bettors, please check us out on Facebook, check us out on Twitter, check out my personal Twitter, Kowalis Picks, where I give picks, plays, same game parlays, little bit of everything. And then we also have a great Discord for the Detroit Sports Bettors community as well. So if you'd love to become part of it, just shoot that invite and we will get you in there and get you started. Just picks, plays, education, information, opinions, a little bit of everything. So it's definitely something you want to check out. But week 10 of the NFL season, I have about 7 picks and plays for you guys. So let's get right into it. Want to build off that 30-12 record that we have currently. And for Thursday night football tonight, we have the Miami Dolphins at home getting 7.5 against the Baltimore Ravens. And for me, I am going to be going with the Miami Dolphins plus 7.5, and here's why. The Baltimore Ravens currently are 1-5 against the spread as favorites, and they tend to play down to their opponent, and they tend to start off slow on the road. In addition to that, the Baltimore Ravens are 0-4 against the spread when giving 6.5 or more points. They have won those games outright, but again, they have difficulty covering those big spreads. Also, there's one thing with the Baltimore Ravens that, you know, a lot of people think this is the Baltimore Ravens team of old with Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis. It's just one of those things that name holds weight and you think defense, but it's just not how it used to be. The Baltimore Ravens have actually been winning a lot of these games because of their offense. Their pass defense actually is 23rd in the league currently. And then in the entire NFL, they are second to last in opponent yards per play. So I get it. They're going against a Miami Dolphins who struggles to move the football at times, can be inconsistent, but this defense really is not that great. And I think that the Baltimore Ravens could come into Miami riding a high. I have talked week after week after week about someone sooner or later knocking the Baltimore Ravens off their high horse. I just don't think they faced that quality of an opponent yet. Like the Minnesota Vikings had them, but the Minnesota Vikings have been doing that all year to everyone, you know? So again, I think I think Miami can sneak up on Baltimore, and I think they can cover the 7.5 spread. Do I think they're going to win? No. I mean, we're still talking about a team that's led by Tua, who is questionable currently, and then might have Jacoby Brissett come in. Either one, I don't really care. Either one, I'm going to be going with that Miami plus 7.5. Tua does add slightly a little bit more of a dimension with his legs, obviously, but I don't really care. The way that you attack Baltimore is through the passing game. And I think they've been running the football just good enough. Myles Gaskin is someone that can catch the ball out of the backfield. Maybe they catch the Baltimore Ravens sleeping on a couple screen passes, something like that. So again, I like the Miami Dolphins plus 7.5 here. So that's where I'm going to be going in this one. And of course, there's that old statistic that I've talked about numerous times. And it's if the home team is getting 7 or more points, they cover that around 60% of the time. You guys know I'm a statistics person, so I will ride that going into Thursday night. So take Miami plus 7.5 in that one. Moving on, I actually have an over-under play in this one today because it's getting to be that time of the year where the weather trend starts to take place. And the Cleveland Browns are going on the road to face off against the New England Patriots. And in New England, they are expecting 28-mile-per-hour winds. And I think that's a big factor because, one, the Cleveland Browns are going to be without Nick Chubb. The Cleveland Browns average around 27 points per game with Nick Chubb in, and they average 18.8 points per game with Nick Chubb out. So again, that's why I like that under 45.5. I do also side with Cleveland +2 in this one. I lean that way just because I think Cleveland is the better team here. I think they have the better defense. They're more complete. The New England Patriots have only beaten one team with a winning record, and that's the LA Chargers. And that's also a team that has the 32nd ranked rush defense in all of football. The Patriots love to run the football, but another thing with the Cleveland Browns in the entire NFL are third in the league in yards given up per play. So they're very stout, but the New England Patriots are also ninth. So I think this is going to be very tough to move the football efficiently down the field with 28-mile-per-hour winds with a quarterback like Mac Jones and a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. Neither are known for having these absolute cannons of arms. So I think they're going to really protect the football and try and run it a lot. They're not going to try and stretch the field. It's going to be short, dink and dumps, slants, drags, maybe a couple outs. I don't see it being a game that they really open up. They're going to try and control the clock. They're going to try and play the field position battle. And Bill Belichick, he plays to his opponent. He knows how to do that. He knows how to game plan correctly. So that's why I also like the under 45.5. But on top of that, I think the Cleveland Browns sneak up on the New England Patriots and cover that +2 spread and win this outright as well. But the more confident play is the under 45.5 with that 28-mile-per-hour winds and two teams that Nick Chubb is currently out. And then in addition to that, the New England Patriots with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, they both are questionable with concussion. So that means Brandon Bolden could have to slide in and just not as efficient at Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson. So again, both teams without their starting running backs. High winds, 28-mile-per-hour, going to be with backup running backs. This is going to be a defensive game, a field position battle. I like the under 45.5. Moving on, we have the New Orleans Saints on the road going against the Tennessee Titans. Right now, the Tennessee Titans are -3 at home, and I will be going with the New Orleans Saints +3. For one, the New Orleans Saints are 1-4 against the spread at home, but they are 3-0 on the road as underdogs. Okay, they've won all of those games outright. They're 3-0 against the spread. Sorry, I made that a little more confusing than it needed to be, but that means the Saints are very good on the road. And one thing that they can rely heavy on is that defense. Okay. The Tennessee Titans win against the Los Angeles Rams. I think that was more about the Los Angeles Rams and Matt Stafford just having a bad game than it was the Tennessee Titans looking amazing. Matt Stafford made a couple key turnovers. I believe he had a pick 6 as well. And that's just huge in the game of football. If that happens, that just puts you so far ahead. The momentum just goes absolutely down the drain. So I think this is an overreaction here because the New Orleans Saints defense is a top 5 defense in this league. You can place Marshawn Lattimore on A.J. Brown, and he will probably control A.J. Brown pretty well. Then on the other side, you have Julio Jones, who really has been underperforming this year. And without their number one weapon in their run game in Derrick Henry, those safeties can creep up just a little bit more. Go back just a little bit more, or they can be a little more aggressive on, like if it's a run, if it's a pass, whatever it may be, because without Derrick Henry, you're not nearly as scared of that rushing attack. You can play those wideouts a little more. So again, I just think that the Tennessee Titans are in a position where they can come down to earth. I understand Trevor Siemian is potentially starting or Taysom Hill, but this is also Sean Payton. Sean Payton is a top 3 coach in the NFL. I think he can game plan correctly for this game against the Tennessee Titans and make them very one-dimensional. And when you make this team one-dimensional with a defense like the New Orleans Saints and players like Cameron Jordan who are rushing the quarterback, I think it could be potentially a long day for Tennessee, and they're really due for a letdown spot. And I think it's this week against the New Orleans Saints. Take the Saints +3. I also like them to win outright. Moving on, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at home sitting at -8 going against the Detroit Lions. And I told you guys I would not take the Lions again, and I am not. I am taking the Pittsburgh Steelers -8 at home against the Detroit Lions. Yes, I understand the Pittsburgh Steelers played on Monday Night Football. Yes, I understand the Detroit Lions are coming off of a bye week. But a lot of this is just, it's pretty simple. The Detroit Lions are giving up around 2.9 sacks per game. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are a top 3 defense, maybe the best defense in all of football, potentially with the Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt, coming after the quarterback. Again, averaging 2.9 sacks per game. If the Lions give up 3 sacks to the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of those is going to be a strip sack, and I bet you it's going to be a turnover in Lions territory or something along those lines. I just think with this defense and this Lions offense, they're going to have a ton of trouble moving the football. Jared Goff just not making many great throws. He's turning the ball over. If you turn the ball over against Pittsburgh and give them more opportunities, you're just going to make it a long day for yourself. And I really do think that what could happen here. The Detroit Lions have the 30th ranked defense in all of football. They're averaging giving up 6.2 yards per play. They're 29th in opponent rushing yards per game, going against Najee Harris and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are really starting to get that run game clicking. And Najee Harris is just an absolute force. This guy is an incredibly physical runner as well, always falling forward, getting 1, 2, 3 yards extra against a defense like the Lions. I see him being able to get those yards, fighting yards after contact. And then 2, they have Claypool, Deontay Johnson, James Washington, that tight end. I forget his name off the top of my head currently, but they have weapons that are coming out. And again, with this Detroit Lions defense, one of the worst in football, Deontay Johnson has burners, Claypool, Washington, they all have burners. So I could just see a couple big plays breaking this open. And if this game breaks open, I don't know how the Lions would come back. So I'm going to be on the Steelers -8 in this one. Moving on, we have the Minnesota Vikings on the road going against the LA Chargers. That is a -3 spread for the LA Chargers right now. And I am actually going with the Minnesota Vikings at +3 because what I saw last week with the LA Chargers, they won the game against the Philadelphia Eagles, but they only won the game because of that offense. Because on the last drive in the 4th quarter against Philadelphia, they were able to control that clock to the point where they were just able to kick a game-winning field goal and get out of there. I don't think that happens against Minnesota, and here's why. The LA Chargers have the 32nd ranked rush defense in all of football. And again, watching them against Philadelphia, they looked absolutely terrible, and the Vikings run the football better than the Philadelphia Eagles. The Minnesota Vikings are 9th in the NFL at rushing the football, and they have weapons that match the LA Chargers. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, while the Chargers, on the other hand, have Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Jared Cook, who, both teams very good. But the key here is Dalvin Cook and the rush defenses. The Chargers 32nd rush defense, Minnesota Vikings 30th. Okay, both trash, but the Minnesota Vikings run the football far more than the LA Chargers. And they're also 9th in the NFL at running the football. And then again, Dalvin Cook is, top 3 back in the NFL, top 5 back in the NFL. So again, a very dangerous player. He hasn't had a game where he really went off just yet this year. So I think this could be one. Sometimes the LA Chargers just come out sleepwalking as well. And again, I think if that happens to the Minnesota Vikings have, I think it's 5 games decided by 1 score or less. There was a 2 3-point games and a 1-point game in there as well. The Vikings are getting 3. I expect this game to be really tight, close. I think the Vikings squeeze out with a victory in this one as well. They've just had so many close games that have been decided by a couple plays. I think they finally get it right in this one. And I think it's very similar to how the LA Chargers did it last week against Philadelphia, where they control the clock at the end of the game, kick a game-winning field goal, and get out of there on the road. I like the Vikings to cover the +3, and I also like them to win outright. Moving on to our next play, very similar. We have another +3, and this is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles +3 against the Denver Broncos. Philadelphia on the road. Okay. Philadelphia Eagles are 3-2 against the spread this season. and are coming off that tough loss at the hands of the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, just talked about that. But I felt like the only reason the LA Chargers won that game was because they were able to control the clock at the end of it. Do I see Teddy Bridgewater really being able to do that? No, I don't. And I actually liked what I saw from the Philadelphia Eagles last week against the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a better team than the Broncos for sure. And I think if there's one thing that the Eagles are successful at and good at, it's stopping the run. They have Fletcher Cox in the middle and Jason Hargraves, who are just two guys that can just stack up that middle, plug it up. And if the Denver Broncos can't run the football and they have 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 10s, 12s, whatever it may be, they're in trouble because Teddy Bridgewater is not very good at that. You know, even with wideouts like Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, he's just not taking advantage of it all that much. We know who Teddy Bridgewater is. You know what you're going to get from him every single week. Jalen Hurts is more of a curveball. This is a guy who can extend the play, especially against the Chargers last week. He finally started doing what I kind of expected him to do on the year, picking up key third downs, extending outside the pocket. You know, he was making Joey Bosa look silly last week, and I was getting pretty frustrated and sweaty because I knew we all had the Chargers, but ended up fine. But again, he's starting to be that player. He'll give you those 3 or 4 plays where they're just explosive down the field, you know, and you give your offense and team a chance to score and get points. So again, that's why I like the Philadelphia Eagles over the Denver Broncos in this one. Broncos also have Noah Fant out. They have Graham Glasgow out. Guys like Patrick Surtain, their lead cornerback, is questionable again. So if he misses, that's a big miss, especially with someone he'd probably be matched up with Devontae Smith there. So again, a 3-point spread. I like the Eagles to potentially win outright, but if you want to be on the safe side, take the Eagles +3 in this one. Moving on to our last pick of week 10, and we have the Kansas City Chiefs on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders. Right now, the Las Vegas Raiders are +2.5, and I am going with the Kansas City Chiefs -2.5 in this one. I think these teams are just on different trajectories right now. I think the Chiefs are starting to go up, even though, you know, last week's game against the Green Bay Packers fairly ugly, but I think that was just a gift the Chiefs needed. As for the Las Vegas Raiders, you know, they just had so much shit going on. You know, the Henry Ruggs car accident, which is just a travesty. Like, oh my God. And I mean, not only is it just a huge distraction for the team, they lost not their number one wide, I mean, I guess number one wideout, but more importantly, the guy who could take the top off the defense. He was that player who the safeties had to play a little deeper because of him. They had to, you know, they had to play a little safer with the play action. Just, you know, you don't realize how much that factors in. And now they don't have a speedster like that. Brian Edwards isn't that guy. Darren Waller isn't that guy. Hunter Renfrow isn't that guy. So again, the defense can come up a play a little tighter and inside those numbers. So I like the Kansas City Chiefs here, not only, and then again, the Raiders are just, like I was saying, the distractions. Not only Henry Ruggs, they had the John Gruden, their first round pick, I think in 2019, it was a cornerback. I don't even know his name, but he got kicked off the team because he was waving guns in an Instagram video. Just crazy stuff going on with the Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr is due to turn the football over at some point. The Kansas City Chiefs are, I just feel like, on an upward trajectory currently. I like what they're doing. That defense is starting to play a little better. So again, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs here at -2.5. And again, one thing to think about is like Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, those guys have not gone off in a couple games here. So definitely think about that player props. Those are guys who can win your fantasy matchup just outright. And I think one of those guys is definitely going to go off in this one. So take the Chiefs -2.5. So that's it for the NFL Week 10 picks and plays. Let's recap. Our first unofficial pick, though, was the Thursday Night Football pick, Miami Dolphins +7.5 at home. And then from there, our official picks. We have the Cleveland Browns going on the road against the New England Patriots. We have the under 45.5. And I also lean Browns +2 in that one. Then we have the New Orleans Saints +3 on the road against the Tennessee Titans. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers -8 at home against the Detroit Lions. We have the Minnesota Vikings +3 on the road against the LA Chargers. We have the Philadelphia Eagles +3 on the road against the Denver Broncos. And then lastly, we have the Kansas City Chiefs -2.5 on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders. So again, guys, NFL Week 10 picks and plays. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the Detroit Sports Bettors YouTube series, and leave me a comment if you could. Tell me what you're going with this week. Tell me what you hit on last week. Please just continue to support this video. If you haven't, check out Detroit Sports Bettors on Facebook, Twitter. Check out my Twitter at Konanis Picks. Again, I am Matt Kowalis. This is the Week 10 Detroit Sports Bettors YouTube series. Good luck, y'all. Let's get this money. Peace.